It's so funny. The only thing I remember liking about college at all was that was the time. I have a bit I've done about it forever now. 'Cause it's just a funny story of going what was it called? The Fantasy Show Bar on Black Horse Pike when you were 18.
Black Horse Pike,
buddy.
But when we used to go there when we were 18, as soon as you can go, I think we even got in a couple times when we were 17.
It was no booze.
No booze.
But it was all nude.
Full nude.
And they used to do shows. And, dude, we were like 18 too, went over there, and these two girls started going at it on stage in, like, the shower room or whatever it was.
They hate us.
Wild.
For that reason. Again, as you become an adult, you understand tipping and doing the right thing. And even if you go to a strip club because you're like, well, I'm not really into them, but like, the three of us are in whatever.
Sure.
Like, it's across the street. Let's walk into this place. You're gonna drop if you
got to throw a couple of bucks.
You got to throw a couple bucks.
You got to tip them for their services.
Yeah, you do the right thing.
Yeah.
Our thing was like, how can we get away when the internet first came out, and the printer paper was there was a thing for Fancy Show Bar where it's like, like a school report. There's no pictures, and the pictures were always made with like,
clip art or whatever.
No, not even. The pictures were like, it's like tits, but like made from like dashes and parentheses and
like
stuff.
Binary code or whatever.
Yeah. And the Fancy Show Bars thing had a girl on the cover who was like the girl, like the professional one that worked there. We used to go on amateur night, but you'd still see the pro girls.
I respect the art, you know what I mean?
Gotta respect the art.
I don't want to see the razzle dazzle.
And me and my friends would print. They had a deal that was them not knowing how good of it they were giving too much away, but they didn't know they were giving it to children who had no money. We needed for a night at this place, couple hours. We needed $3.
Jesus.
Because this pass you'd print out was free entry, which was already probably like $10 or something to get
right.
in. A free. It was two things. The drinks were free. The sodas were free. You still got to tip $1 for it. Oh, I know
Sitting
what it was.
there drinking Pepsi, staring at tits.
So when you walk in, the entrance was free. When you walk in, there's a girl, if you remember, that'd be just standing there.
Yeah.
The first thing they call the Titty Hug. So when you go, first things first, you got to put $1 in your mouth, and the girl's going to pull $1 out.
A titty sandwich is known in my circles.
Okay. Well, it's like I know the vernacular changes place to place. You can put it together. You can put it together.
Titty sandwich.
Jay's got a check in his mouth.
That's post-dated. Hold that for a week.
Don't cash it. Hang on. I just got to make sure. I have to move some things around.
It says the gas company on it. That's how I move.
So you'd have to give her $1. Then a lady walks you guys to your seats, and then she just flat out puts a garter belted leg up on the thing, and you got to put the $1 in there.
Mm-hmm. Now you're two in.
Yeah, and then at some point you wait, because here's what they also got you that was brilliant. And again, us not realizing anything about marketing or anything, we fell into it. What they would give you for free and not even ask for tips is nonstop of the most delicious, butteriest, saltiest popcorn you could possibly have.
I don't remember the popcorn.
It was but all that did was make you have to. So we would just get like mouth sucked dry, and then be like, "I'll have a Sprite now, please." There's your other $1. What that free pass gave us was free entry and free shower show entrance. What you're talking about?
That shower show.
That show.
Something else.
I've been to, again, I haven't been to actually a ton of strip clubs.
I still
in my
think
life,
about that every once in a while.
But
I thought you were about to be like, I've never seen a Broadway show with this thing.
I imagine.
I mean, pizzazz? Is that a possible word?
How good could Miss Saigon be?
No, that show, of the strip clubs I've been in and stuff, it was
unreal.
That show was was it faked? Probably. Didn't matter. It was like
it's like watching a porn.
It was like a 15, almost 20-minute thing, and the people who bought, it was $25 to go in there, and then it's like these kind of like just like lines of like bleachers and in a shower stall.
Yeah,
and they would take turns. One would sit behind. Well, first things first, they go $5 to come up and be a soap person, and then because we had no money, we'd always our thing to ourselves be like, dude, what a loser.
What kind of nerd?
Yeah, you fucking paying $5
desperate
to touch
dirtbag.
Right here,
$5.
Buddy, I would have given $50 if it was in my pocket.
Dude, I did it.
The first time I got a massage prostitute, I gave her 100% of the money in my pocket because she told me it was $300. And I was like, I don't have that. And she goes, what do you have? And I went, $200. And she goes, okay. And I just gave her, it was 100% of the money in my pocket.
Listen, you're a nice boy. I'll do it for 200.
Yeah, she would have done it for 50 if I probably would have said so. She saw it all over me. I'm like, no way.
Because you do have, even now, as an old, you do have like childish wonderment sometimes. You're like very like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the shower show, we'd sit in the back, so everyone would do their $5 and they'd soap the girls' tits up. And then we'd just sit there, and then they would take turns sitting behind one another. And for like probably 5 minutes each at least. Like they would, one would hold the shower spray on the other one's pussy.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one would she would just play with her own pussy and fake, like they would do it it was never just like now switch. They would fake cum.
Academy Award-winning performances.
It was a lot. Like they went for it. If it makes sense, it'd probably be less embarrassing to just cum than to fake what they were doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That makes sense.
It almost be, it's like if I'm going to make a wacky noise, I might as well make it actually happen, but probably not the case. Then they would switch spots and the other one would start over and do it all over again for free because we had.
Easy.
It was
And,
wild.
and
a
I'm
printer.
telling, buddy, they actually started asking us to start like ripping off the track
Jiffy Lube
sides.
paper?
Yeah.
They were on
They go, can you at least please? Like they hated us.
Oh.
I never realized it at all, but their main girl that was on the website, like the only real picture on the website, and you could just see just the long blonde hair, just the quintessential stripper chick, big
Sure.
fake tits, whatever. What I loved, the only thing I remember, the only day I remember at Camden County Community College was going. She wasn't even in any of my classes. I was walking out and just seeing her with like school books and whatever in the thing, and I was like, no way. It's like, it's probably not Diamond, but that's Diamond, or whatever her name was. And I was like, and then just watching the slow like reality of like her, for some reason, I guess she just lived in my area or something. Then like a couple weeks later, I saw her like working cashier at like ShopRite also with like pictures of like her kids, but you know what I mean, like her kids, and you just like all the reality of this thing. It's like, oh, she's not a beautiful. Like very early, I got that shot. I go,
Yeah.
she's just struggling. If her pussy was making her that much money, she probably wouldn't be
Yeah, working at
slanging,
ShopRite, so.
fucking cabbage at ShopRite.
Yeah, you're rolling in there giving her counterfeit money.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I mean, maybe if there's a couple big spenders coming in from time to time, she wouldn't have to
You
moonlight.
soap
Jay.
somebody up, scumbag.
I never really feel it. I am a
She
part
checks
of the
you out. She's like, you.
I am part of the ladder of that woman's terrible life.
Yes.
But
What was-
I also loved having buddies in those strip clubs who would like I was pretty early. Again, like my own insecurity has probably saved me from like looking silly sometimes, because like when I hear in my ear, it's like I'm so happy there's finally like a normal guy in here. Like you're cute. Like can we go in the back? And I just had the thing. I go, well, that's clearly something she's paid to say to try to get me to go to the thing. And then the best thing would just, and always to me it was always like confident guys in the group. They remember coming and they go, yo, I'm gonna run the back with her. Like she said, she's like digging me and stuff like that.
She don't normally do it, but she's gonna do it with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time.
I loved it. I kind of loved the hustle of it. I'm like, good for you, lady. I'm like, good for you. I'm like, look at you go.
I respect that.
Dude, this chick likes me, man.
Every single time somebody does. She's not normally, but I will for you. You seem like a real cool guy.
When I got a job.
These other losers in here.
When I first started comedy at like 19, I started working a job. My friend told me about this job, it being a job that exists at all, and I was like, I would do that. And it was the driving strippers and escorts to bachelor parties.
Dude, that was always something I wanted to do.
And it really is not glamorous like you'd hope. But
It's so funny, the difference mindset. I never in my life would I ever think that's glamorous. That sounds like the saddest shit to me. And you two guys are like, you
Well,
did it?
yeah,
He goes,
I
I
thought
always
that was
wanted to
it.
do
We
it.
may have had the same thing though in my mind. I was like, well, they're strippers, and now I'm not just a guy in the audience. I'm with them. Like I know them. Not
The
that we're
cool guy.
together, but I'm like, I'm the guy. So now I'm in a position where it's like, clearly they do this and they get all horned up. And then
Sure.
they're probably going to want to just throw pussy at me afterwards.
Just fuck
You
me
find
in the
out
car.
very quickly that like they want to go home and like burn their epidermis off.
Yeah.
Like it's gross what they have
What
to
do
do.
they see? My 86 Toyota.
But the first girl I ever drove, we're talking about getting wrapped up in someone's like pretty. I thought she was gorgeous.
I would love to see a picture of her.
I mean,
She's
you
cute.
could barely see the C-section scar on this chick.
definitely had a kid. But you couldn't see. No, she was just young. She was
Doctor?
young and just like, she was just young and hot. She just had a thing. It was tan, gorgeous. And I took her and I said I was so enamored. It's funny when you watch somebody doing like a piggish thing, and then, but I was like proud of her because she did a thing. I remember watching. It was my first time ever doing it, so I'm like, what is she going to do?
Can't even see the ping pong ball, can you guys?
Completely gone, huh?
Similar thing, actually. She goes, all right, guys, get out your 5s, your 10s, and your 20s. For five, and roundabout, what she was telling you that she's going to roll it up into like, a Coke straw essentially thing, and put it in her pussy a little bit. If it's a 5, a little bit, and you'll bite it out. You take it out with your teeth. $10, she's going to put it in a little bit further in. $20, she's going to put it all the way in. And here's the thing. I don't know if it's the best example to use. As she's putting this thing in her pussy, more or less, she's going like this to hold it in. So a $5 bill in her pussy is only going to be this long. You could always get as close as her fingers.
Sure. Right.
From if you did a $5 bill. It was never going to change anything.
Sure.
Every guy throws down a 20 because they believe they're getting closer. And I was just there. I'm like, wow. Brilliant.
Brains and beautiful.
I was like, this is wow. Look at her go. Like that's an amazing thing. And then afterwards, we stopped at a 7-Eleven, and I remember her getting like whatever those junk ass roses or flowers they have there, our little bouquets they'll have, and she put them on the thing and she bought them. And when we got in the car, I'm like, who are the flowers for? I'm driving her. And by the way, I'd already gotten like just trying to get my kid back, but my abusive ex-boyfriend, something. And I was like, who are the flowers for? And she goes, for me. She goes, after like a night of that, like, I feel like I should have, I deserve flowers. Jesus. And I was like, oh yeah. And I dropped her off. And the next day, I drove to her house and knocked on her door. And I was like, I think somebody should buy you flowers. Oh. And I was like, this is us falling in love. Nope. Nothing at all. And then cut ahead 2 years or so.
Sir, get off my property.
So would you mind leaving?
You slide your rolled up 20 back in your pocket.
I go,
okay, fair enough.
No, she was like sweet, but it was just like, it didn't like, we didn't fall into each other's arms the way I believe we were going to. And it was a weird move for sure. But she, I worked with her maybe a couple more times. And she was like one of the girls when you were like, oh, she's like, I'll make some money tonight too. Because they tip you out afterward. So I'm like, oh, I'll make some money because she like kills it. This girl's great. As far as like doing the job. Maybe like 2 years later or something, I was just like having I wasn't like working too much in New York on the weekends or Philly. So I had like plenty of weekends off. And I needed to make money because I wasn't making money in comedy. So I was like, let me pick this job up again. That was a job. I don't know what it's like now. You can go in the phone book and find like, Go-Go's Entertainment or whatever and call them and be like, hey, you need drivers? And I mean, more than once, they're like, yeah, come by now and we'll send you out with a girl.
5 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah, and yeah, you're working the job already. You have a license? Okay.
Can you fight? All right.
They didn't even give a shit about that. In fact, when I asked, the job's actually kind of dangerous at times. At least like on the threat. Like you're in a dangerous situation. And then the guy was like, yeah, don't you carry a gun? Because I was like, why do all these old men do it? Like all these old like Italian guys do it.
Yeah, they can't fight.
They can't. And I was like, what's the thing? And they go, yeah. And he was almost like the point. He was like, yeah, you can't fight 25 guys anyways. Like they have a gun.
I love her, man. Get your hands off her.
I had a guy brandish a gun one time, and all I thought right away was thinking, I go, I don't care if he shoots this girl 15 times in the face. Why am I going to get killed for protecting this lady? I don't know. That's what I was like. I am not the right person to do this job. But a couple years, I hadn't done it much at all, and I called this company. He's like, yeah, come over. And I'll send you out. I go to his place. It was great. And it was in a apartment. So talking about the garbage, like, are you garbage? South Jersey particularly. I can't speak for anybody else in the world. I've never met a worse class of people than apartment complex people.
Oh, forget about it.
It's rough.
And if I know good people who moved into apartment complexes, but very quickly on a Saturday night at their house, there was people from the apartment complex over who are undesirable.
Sure.
Once you cross that line, you start hanging out with the neighbors,
people.
You're jammed up.
So I would do
it's Billy from fucking 4B down.
You're a
You're
weekend
like,
away from having a party at the community pool there, and then you're in. Then there's no way
Then
out.
there's no looking back.
Yeah, there's no looking back.
I go in this guy's apartment. He's got a couch, a TV on the floor, and the rest of his floor is lined with his bodybuilder trophies.
Oh God.
And he's just that guy. You know, the tank top is tied in a knot on the top of each shoulder,
Yeah.
like a hot broad. And he's talking nice enough guy, I guess. And he goes, "Yeah, you're gonna drive this Asian girl. You're gonna pick her up, and then you're gonna go pick her up with when my cousin gets here. Like she's the other girl who's
My
going."
cousin.
I was like, "Oh, cool.
Family business.
Hey, my cousin's here." Walks in. It's the girl, the first
No.
girl I ever
No
drove.
shit.
Looks
Rougher.
looks a little worse for the wear.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow." I'm like, but okay. I'm like, you know, I still see her like in there,
You
sort
pull
of.
flowers out from behind your back. I never thought I'd
I've
be
been looking
carrying
for you
these
for
around
3
for 3 years.
Constantly watering them. He goes, "We'll find her. We'll find her. We'll
I
find
put Miracle Grow on him so he would stay alive for you. Just like my love for you.
her. We'll find her." So she comes out, and I'm like, "Wow, you know, we kind of like catch up." But she looks a little rough. But I pick her up, and this was the girl. I drove her with other girls before, like back those years before, and she was always like the standout, like one. She's had a great body, and
Sure.
she was tan the whole way. She just looked great and young and pretty. And we picked this Asian girl up. The Asian girl, hot. She looked like the Black Widow, the
The pool
player.
girl.
Yeah,
my
when she was
God.
young, not now. Black Widow turned into exactly what you thought she was going to turn into. A lady screaming at you over fish. And we go to this thing. It's like a VFW type party. And man, these guys,
So classy.
classy as hell. And what was for the first time I'm seeing, and they don't give a shit. This Asian girl is working. They love her, and she looks great. Exactly what you're hoping when she gets she's a hot young Asian chick, killing it. They're laughing almost at the other one because one of the things about her, like her skin was like super tan and just like she looked great. She's super pale and like pasty and blemishy, and then like she's bending over doing whatever with this Asian girl. They're all fours together, and like her ass is just kind of like narrower now, and like so you just see her super like darkened asshole. And the people are saying, he goes, why? I just hear guys talking, goes, "Why is her asshole so dark?"
At a VFW.
Yeah, that's bad because they've seen some rough beeholes.
You got balls, buddy.
Yeah, looks like Tommy's asshole when he had that thing.
You're eating meatballs with coleslaw, dirtball.
Dude, when you can gross out veterans, dude.
It's just guys hanging around Sternos. Pass me a roll.
Definitely Sterno's there.
Sternos in
yeah.
a VFW, baby.
The food ain't bad, man. I'll tell you that right now.
No. Yeah, like a pesto pasta
Sure.
salad, maybe. But they, I remember the guys kind of more like laughing at her more than like.
Sure.
Aw.
And I was like, and then we go back. We dropped the Asian girl off, and we go back to. That was sort of the job. I think we never did any more jobs that night. But part of that job, the job that sucked was like. You'd go if you had one thing. If it was an hour away or 45 minutes away, you'd go to that one thing. And that could just be the only thing. Or they could hit you up 2 times and be like, "You're stopping at these 2 more
Sure.
things on the way home." And so it was like a come back to my weird, weightlifting dungeon. And,
Come back to the dojo.
Yeah, come back to the dojo. I'm
Back
sure
to
he
the
called it a
office.
dojo.
Oh, he definitely
back to the
called-
office.
he
Yeah, back to
called
HQ.
I'm at Dirtbag North up here.
Back to HQ. And we're sitting there waiting, and we're sitting on his couch, and like TV's on, and she starts like, for the first time, she's like taking her feet, like she took her like shoes off, and starts like digging her feet like under my body and sort of like up on my thigh and shit. And I was just like, not now.
Yeah.
It's not even for the thing. I'm just like, I think you're gonna give me something now. Like
Yeah.
that whole room just made fun of your dookie shoe. Your crazy
you're gonna
brown
give me
asshole.
Hey, can you put socks on?
You're crazy, bro.
Your crazy brown asshole. You don't have to. There's more than asshole you have to bleach there. The discoloration is spread. It's like black mold. You gotta take care of it. It's gonna get out there. It's like rust.
Get some Tilex on that.
Yeah, scrubbing
CLR
bubbles.
or something.
Get some scrubbing bubbles. Use some lime remover.
That's all right.
But yeah, that was
That's
bad.
all right.
You know, it's funny. The first time I ever even saw cocaine in my life was when I went back to this place called Dream Girls in New York, and their quarters was like a loft apartment, but it was like nicer thing. There was like a desk with a girl, but one time, and you'd go back there and wait for things in between. That's where I watched Ellen DeGeneres tell the world she was a lesbian on the Ellen show. I saw that at HQ.
Dream Girls HQ.
At Dream Girls HQ. But this girl, and she was just like a little like pudge. Like she was just a receptionist. She wasn't one of the girls. And then she pulled out like a little baggie with, I'd never seen it before, and I was like, "What's that?" She goes, "Coke. You want some?" I was like, "No." And she goes, "You don't mind, do you?" I'm like, "I don't care," but like I did. I was like, "Can we not do drugs? I don't know what's gonna do to you." And it did. It was like a cartoon.
I'm on the clock right now.
I've seen a zillion people do coke at this point. For only to have doing it twice myself ever. I've seen it a bunch of times, and I've never seen such.
Hit her like a cartoon.
Yeah, that was people. I have friends of mine who have done coke a bunch in their life. Said the reason they hated the show Vinyl. Do you remember that at all?
Sure. Yeah.
Was that the depiction of doing coke? Every time he did it, it was just like he'd go like one thing, and he'd be like, just like start screaming and having the fuck like an animal right away, and it's like kind of nonsensical thing. She did coke and was like, woo, and stood up and started showing me she could do handstands. And then
Jesus,
it's a loft.
I don't think that was coke.
And then it's a loft. So it's like, oh, I'm glad. It's like these kind of piping and stuff like that. She was like doing monkey club. And I was just like, I was sitting on the couch. I'm like, phone's ringing. And she'd have to be like, do like a dismount. Like, ha,
She
ha.
goes down upside down.
She goes, hello, whore. What do you want, whores or strippers?
She answers it with her foot.
Yeah. Prostitutes or whores? Prostitutes or strippers? What do you want?
Press 1 or 2.
Yeah. If you want to fuck the girl, press 2. If you want to just watch her strip.
Like Kramer on Movie Phone.